Hello, Mr. Polly Buck.
Heist, thank you for having me on your channel, my friend.
Well, I heard you fell asleep with your iPhone in your hand and bought a $1,300 coin, and then this happened. Is
Yes,
any of that true?
that's the whole truth.
That is the
That's
whole truth.
that's
It's a true
100%. That's a
story.
true story. That's
Well,
what I do apparently.
well, that's what we're going to talk about because it's the greatest story I ever heard. So let's find out about this story. So, what the heck were you doing that night? So, what time did you get in
Okay,
trouble?
okay. So let's go back. It was a Thursday night, and I remember this much. I don't know dates. I mean, I could know dates, and I
Right.
probably should, and it might be
Yeah.
on something I sent you. But it was a
Yeah.
Thursday because I was watching Thursday night football.
Uh huh.
And I really don't remember who was playing because I think the only reason I was watching because I might have had some bets going or something, right?
Okay. Sure.
And I have a friend who is on Whatnot, and he is a pretty good seller. He's been selling there for quite a few years. And I just like to check in with him, like maybe somebody you might check in on that has a YouTube coin auction. You know, you go in, you say hello, they say hello, you watch some sales. But this particular one, I just kind of hung out and just was listening to it with the phone. I was on the couch, so laid back on the couch, phone on my chest, not really watching, just more or less listening, watching for prices, see what he's selling, right? But then the whole time watching the football game. Well,
Uh,
at some point, I fell asleep.
okay.
And that's where it gets goofy. Um,
Yeah. So tell us what got goofy.
I woke up at like 4:02 in the morning
Okay.
and my phone was still playing. It was playing Whatnot. I said, "What is going on here?" So I went to go shut it down, and Whatnot, you almost have to close it out. Like if you have an iPhone, if you close the Whatnot app, it still plays in the background. Like you can hear it still playing. So it doesn't necessarily close out the app. You have to actually take your phone and slide the app off the phone, right? So then
Yeah.
it's automatically closing it down. Well,
But
when I
let's just stop right there for a
yeah,
second. So whatnot's kind of like eBay.
yeah,
It's
okay.
like coin auctions on eBay, and
It's a lot of
it's on an
auctions.
app.
It's all live. That's right.
Okay.
It's all
Yeah.
live, and sellers do have stores that you can go into and buy things now. But a lot of comic books, a lot of cards, a lot of coins is basically what this app is used for, and it's all live sales. Again,
Yeah.
like I said, they do have their sales stores where you can click on your if you have a favorite person you like to buy through, you can go into their store and buy stuff.
Yeah.
Pawn Man. I don't know if anybody knows that name that watches your channel. Pawn Man, really cool guy. He has a Whatnot channel, so take that for what it's worth.
Yep.
Um,
So you fell asleep watching.
I
You
fell
fell
asleep
asleep
watching.
watching an sort of an eBay live show
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this thing called whatnot.
yep, yep. And when I realized that it was still open at like 4:02 in the morning, I noticed that okay, I get up at like 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning for work. So I noticed my phone was about dead. So I was looking for a charger, and while I was looking for a charger, I wear glasses, right?
Yeah.
And I was trying to read my phone, and I caught an email. And then I also caught an instant message from the seller on Whatnot. And the email said, "Congratulations on your purchase from Whatnot. Your shipping information will be, here shortly." Whatever. And I opened it up. And so the first thing I thought was like, what did I buy? Like when did I buy something? I have no
Yeah.
clue when. So I
Right.
open it up. I'm like, okay, what could I have possibly bought? It can't be that bad, right? I
Sure.
figured, I don't know why I figured this, but I figured like $36 to $100 maybe. I was
Okay.
thinking. And when
Yeah.
I opened that up and saw $1,304 and like 65 cents,
Yeah.
I about puked.
Yeah. Must have been a hell of a coin.
At that time, instantly at that time, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to explain this to my wife.
Yeah.
And this is now 4:05 in the morning.
Sure. And she's asleep someplace. And
She's in the bed.
you're waking up on the couch.
I'm waking up on the couch.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
where I spent my night.
Yeah, then after you tell your wife the next night, where are you gonna be on? The
Yeah, I think I
couch.
ended up back on the couch. No. So So now I'm wondering, I'm freaking out because number one, I got to explain this because this is legit. I'm not just making this up in my own head. Like, here's the sale. This
Yeah.
is where it came from. Now, we'll get into that in a minute, but
Sure, sure.
um, I open up the message. So on Whatnot, you have like on Instagram, right? You can direct message somebody. So that seller at 12:56 sent me a message
Yeah.
asking if I knew what I bought and if I
Right.
wanted to keep the sale or did I want to cancel the sale.
Right.
And then another message came through minutes later. He goes, I'm just putting it through as a cancellation. So when you buy something from Whatnot and you want to cancel, or if it was a mistake, or if the seller offers you a cancel request, that is only good for 2 hours.
Right.
I'm
So
seeing
what time did you buy it, you think?
at like 12:56.
All right, so 12:56 and now it's 4. So it's 3 hours later.
It's too late.
You're past the deadline.
I'm frantically messaging this guy and I'm thinking to myself, he's messaging me. I don't know where he's from because obviously he could be from California. Maybe he's still awake. I don't
Right.
know.
But
Maybe
how about
he's,
this? How about this? Isn't Whatnot a little different than say a YouTube auction where you're just in the chat saying, "Oh yeah, I want to buy it."
yes,
Like they have your credit
that
card information,
that's what I
right?
wanted to get into, right? So
Yeah,
that's
they've
the
got
part I wanted
that.
to come back to. Thanks for
Yeah.
asking that. So this is what makes Whatnot great, and in my opinion, right?
Well, it's a double-edged sword in this
It is.
case.
It is. It is. But as a seller,
Yeah.
once that sale is made, right, there's no hunting anybody down because of that reason. When you want to become part of Whatnot and become a buyer,
Mm-hmm.
you have to go through a process and become a certified buyer, which isn't
Right.
that big a deal, but you do have to register two ways to pay payment methods. So if your
Right.
first method doesn't go through, your second payment should cover whatever it is, right?
Right.
But
So
then on the
you had two payment plans in, right? You had the arm and the leg.
yeah, yeah. So then on
So
top of that,
yeah.
you're dealing with verified sellers as well. So
Yeah.
I'm also a verified seller on Whatnot. I just haven't decided to do any sales yet, right? But there's a process that you have to go through to have that verified label with your name there.
Sure.
So it's like a safety zone for the seller and the buyer. Now I
Right.
do get that some sellers can be shady, but they don't last long, right? And it's kind of like
Sure.
I've seen many times over and over again on YouTube where you could stiff somebody in auction. Yeah, you've got a bad name, but that seller still has the product. Where the seller can actually do the opposite here too, where they actually have to come off the product. They'd be gone off of Whatnot by the internals, right? Where
Uh-huh.
YouTube, you're just not going to get, you're not going to have the people there anymore if you decide to
Yeah.
screw somebody.
Right.
So
Okay. So they've got your credit card information.
yeah. So it was
They're
actually my
potentially.
my PayPal and then
Yeah.
my checking account, my
Okay.
bank
Yeah.
account, whatever.
Right.
So that's how that went through. I usually keep a bunch of money in my PayPal account just for reasons of buying. There's a lot of auctions that I visit from people I've
Yeah.
met through YouTube where I do like to make a purchase here every now and again, and I want to have
Right.
the funds to do that. And most
Right.
people still take PayPal. Well,
Yeah.
it 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 drained that PayPal account, and then it had to take some remainder from my checking account to finish off that sale of
Yeah.
$1,304.65.
Now, are you typically? I mean, I know you said you're a frequent buyer, but not in the $1,300 range and this level of collectible coin. Is
Definitely
that?
not. This is out of
Yeah.
my league. That was
What the heck did you buy?
I bought a U.S. Mint commemorative
Uh-huh.
graded by NGC MS 67, which I
That's
believe there's
high.
only 61 in that grade, and I think there's only 32 in higher grades. But it's a 1934-35 Daniel Boone half
Okay.
dollar.
So how much silver? Less than an ounce?
Yeah, very much so.
So less than an ounce, $1,300.
Yes,
Did it have a
yes.
privy mark?
No privy, no privy, no privy.
It's just old. It's gold and
That's
classic.
another story.
Right, exactly.
I tell you, I have no clue what that coin looked like until I looked it up.
Right.
I sent you a video clip. I don't know if there's any way that could get played during this. If it is, great.
We'll show a picture. I'll look it up and show a picture so people can see it.
Yeah, but within that video clip, so here's another thing. When you purchase something from Whatnot, it is saved, right? When they email you your receipt, you also get a video copy of what you bought and
Oh, what do you mean of the auction?
of the auction.
They give you like a 5 second clip, like, "Hey, here's when the guy said, 'Congratulations, Polybuck, you
From
just
it
bought a nice
starts,
coin.'"
yeah, so your clip starts from when the sale ended, right? So when
Okay,
the sale ended, then you get the whole I mean you get the whole show, but it
right.
starts from where this you bought your coin, right? So
Okay,
there's a lot of confusion inside of that clip on its own, and you can even hear the seller saying, um so my name on Whatnot, because something got goofed up, I can't be Pauly Buck on Whatnot. I had to be the real Pauly Buck on Whatnot. So the real Pauly
okay.
Buck, are you sure this is the coin you want? Because at the same time, they were showing a Carson City Morgan, and then they were showing a seated $50. So the seller thought there was a lot of confusion on my end, as in I didn't know what I bought. Well, what the seller didn't know is he was right. I had no clue what I bought. And
Right,
even inside of the chat, because there was a chat, they were questioning me because some people there knew who I was as far as because of my presence on YouTube and
right.
Instagram. And they knew there was no way that I was looking to buy this coin. And somehow
Not your
I
typical
did.
purchase. They knew it was not your typical purchase.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
and you weren't just trying to be like the auction hero for one day.
I wasn't looking to be no auction hero, no whale, nothing like that. And if I was,
Yeah.
I probably would have been buying gold instead of that Daniel Boone
Okay.
coin.
Sure, sure. So, all right. So now you've got a $1,300 coin. Um, they've got your credit card information or PayPal or your checking account.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been paid for. Yes,
it's
that's
been
right.
paid for. You passed the deadline, and the wife is asleep. So then
I
what happened?
So it's 20 after 4 at this point, and I say, my wife's name's Jamie. Jamie, Jamie. She sits up out of bed. She says, "What?" I said, "I effed up." She says, "Paul, it's 4:20 in the morning. How could you have possibly effed up this early?" So already, right? I mean, maybe it's something she's used to me saying. I don't know. But I
Mm,
said, "Babe, I don't know how, but I said I just spent like $1,300 on a coin, and I don't know what it is." She says,
yeah.
Are you flipping kidding me?"
No, you're in so much trouble. Yeah, it's so
I
much
said,
trouble.
I wish I was kidding you,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
just wanted you to know that. So when you get up, you're going to see that some money has been deducted out of our account, but I'm trying to figure it out the best possible way I can.
Well, there you go. There
That's
you
not just
go.
something I could. So no, she wasn't too impressed at all,
No,
but
no.
had faith in me that I would try and figure this thing out.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's good to have faith because 2 days later, I tell you, my wife would come back to me and say, "Oh, honey,
Where's the
I
money?
fell asleep the other day and I bought a new pair of boots."
Oh, yeah, you're right there. You are right
So,
there.
yeah. So now you've got to fix it. So,
Yes.
so what's some of the quandary of like, um, what happened with like customer service and like who do you go? Who do you go to?
Okay, here's the
What can you
downfall of
do?
Whatnot. Here's the downfall of Whatnot. There is absolutely nobody to talk to.
No.
And with the freaking out that I had going on, and there was no cancellation button, I I turned in so many different, like, I did it wrong to begin with. I turned in like a fraud thing. I turned in a did not receive my coin type thing. I did
Just pressing every button
I
you
was
could
pushing
find.
everything.
Every
I was trying to get someone to respond to me like
right,
at
right.
4 o'clock in the morning, right?
Okay, right.
And it wasn't working. It wasn't
Yeah.
working. And in all actuality, the seller didn't even get back a hold of me until like 9 a.m. So there's 5 hours there of me wondering, do I have this
What?
coin? And I haven't at this point. I still haven't watched the video. I
Okay.
at this point in
Can
day.
you?
I
Can
could
you
have,
go
yes.
back?
And now I was talking to my buddy on Whatnot,
The one who was doing the show?
the one who was originally doing the show, and I'm asking him, how did I get in that guy's show to begin with? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, if I was asleep and I fell asleep watching your show, how did I get into his show? How did it automatically
Oh, wait a
get me
minute. Did you
from?
buy from your buddy or did you buy from
No,
like
I
next
did not
show
buy
up?
from I. So
You showed up like watching a Salivate Metal video and all of a sudden you're in Silver Dragons watching another
yes,
video?
yes.
But except for it's another auction?
Except it's for another auction. It's not a video. It's another guy
Well, I
selling
know, so
stuff.
but that's what I'm saying. It's sort of like a
Yeah,
referral to like you go to the
and
next video, you
that's
go to the next
exactly
auction.
what
So it wasn't
happened.
even your buddy's auction?
No, no. And my buddy doesn't even know the seller. So what happens is
Well, wait a minute.
this.
How did the guys in the chat know like who you were and that it wasn't
They
typical?
recognize my name. There's so
Really?
many people.
So the seller didn't seller.
The
Oh, I
seller
thought it was
doesn't
your
know me.
buddy. I thought it was your buddy.
No,
Oh my
no.
gosh. Well, then you've got like a stranger who's like
Doesn't know me at all.
$1,300. Yes.
Yes. Yes. And that's the feeling I had the whole time. I'm like, I'm
Oh
stuck with
no.
this thing. This guy doesn't know me. I
I
didn't
know.
respond to him. I'm stuck with this coin, right?
Right. Oh my
So
gosh.
before I go any further, the seller, the guy who actually sold me the coin, cool as can be
Great.
with the whole situation, right?
Sure, sure.
Very easy to deal with. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Right, right.
So what happened is after my friend's sale, okay, you know what a raid is? Like when another channel on
Well, that's what I'm
YouTube, and
saying.
they're doing a
Yeah.
live stream and then they, hey, everybody, go over to this other channel and let's go say hello, right?
Right, sure.
Well, that's what happened. Except with Whatnot, it just pops up for my friend. It just pops up a bunch of more live sales, and he just happened to click on one. He doesn't know who it is, and when
Okay.
his sales ending,
Everyone jumps.
everyone automatically jumps unless you're there, and then you want to close it out. Then you can close it out.
Okay, so it's kind of like
Excuse me.
YouTube like recommended next video up.
Yeah, something
Except
like
for
that.
except for the auction guy presses a button and everyone jumps to the next thing.
That's how I got there.
Okay.
Unwillingly.
So
Unwillingly, I was drugged there.
I know. So that's how you got there, and then how did you get out alive?
I don't know if I got out alive. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
did get out alive. I woke up gasping for air.
Right. Well, you have both kidneys, but you lost $1,300.
So now I'm trying to. The only thing I can come up with, I'm talking with my friend now because that's how I figured out that I got into that live stream. It was like the movie Hangover. You're trying to replay all the episodes that
Right.
kind of went on, and then things start to click.
Yeah.
So here's how this went. I must have came to, and this is coming from my buddy, and it's the only thing that he and I could come up with, and then everybody else I talk to agrees with it.
Yeah.
When you're on Whatnot, okay, and you have your phone, right?
Yeah.
You have to physically slide your finger to the left or your thumb or your nose or your elbow, whatever makes your screen work for you, whatever you use. You have to slide over. You have to physically do that.
Yeah.
So what we think happened is at that time, I must have woke up, not knowingly woke up and tried to close the phone out at 12:54 or 12:56, whatever time it was. I tried to shut my phone down. But at that same time, I actually slid my finger across the screen and bought that coin.
Buy it now.
Yes.
Hit the buy it now button.
Yeah.
So crazy.
But that's just it. There's no just hit a button to buy it.
Well, do a loop de loop on the buy it now.
Yeah,
It's just some
crazy.
kind of complex.
That's
complex,
the only thing that we could come up with.
complex mechanics, but still, it's crazy.
And then in my head, I thought that the app was shut down, maybe,
Yeah,
and then just
right.
went back to sleep, or just
Sure.
was awake but not awake type thing.
Well,
and
it
just
happens all the time.
instantaneously
I'll give
slid
you
it.
some other scenarios where it happens
What do you got?
all the time. I mean, I'm not saying these are true stories, but it's like exaggerations of your true story. So I know a guy who fell asleep with his Uber app open, and then he had a limo at his house at 3 a.m. trying to take him to the damn airport. But then I had another guy
That sounds like a
who,
better story.
well, I had another guy who fell asleep with the Craigslist app on his iPhone, and then he heard the doorbell and had a prostitute at the door at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I think I'd rather buy a coin.
Well, yeah. See, you're getting much less trouble. But how about this? A
Especially
guy
if the
fell
wife is
asleep
home.
once. Guy fell asleep once with the Apple Store open on his thing. He downloaded a dating app. When he woke up, he had a date on next Tuesday
He was swiping up.
with a dude. So I think you got off pretty easy.
I don't know. I mean, mine sounds more believable than all those.
Well, that's because mine are all fake, but yours is real. So I think you got in a lot less trouble than these other scenarios.
That's the thing I hope your audience gets out of this is my story is 100% legit. That's
100% legit.
100% legit.
Man falls asleep with his iPhone in his hand, wakes up with a $1,300 receipt in his email saying, "Congratulations, you just bought a coin."
I was sick. I was sick all day, and it
All right.
it was.
And then what happened? Tell us about
Okay,
all's
so
well that ends well, or do
the
you have
only
a nice
because
coin?
no
Do you
one's
have a
getting
nice
back a
coin?
hold of me, right? So
Do you
no
have a
one's
nice
getting back a
coin?
hold of me except the seller. But
Did
the
the
seller
coin
is
come
telling
in the
me,
mail?
huh?
Did the coin come in the mail?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So
All right.
okay,
Did the
so we're
money
getting
get
to that.
back?
We're getting
Okay.
to that.
Yeah.
The seller can't do anything on his end because the sale already went through.
Yeah.
And a tracking label was already made. That's all done automatically on Whatnot. Okay.
Yeah.
So everything was done on his end, as in the sale went through. Now there's no cancel button for him to offer because he already offered it and I wasn't there to accept it. Okay.
Right.
So now I have to do it on my end, contact Whatnot, in which I told you earlier. I did everything shouldn't have done.
Just press every button you could
I
find.
pushed every button I could possibly find, and I finally got a response. And it says, "We are sorry about this, and we show on our end that your package has been delivered, and if you would like a refund, you are going to need to send that package back." And
Right.
I about lost it because
Sure.
there's nobody to talk. Again, there's nobody to talk to. There's no one to pick up
Well,
the phone
because
and
I think
have a conversation with.
there's three parties.
Right.
The guy's in charge saying, "We're not going to give you your money back until you give the coin he shipped you."
And again, like I
but
said, this
you
guy
don't have the coin.
No,
You don't have
that's
the
why I
coin.
tried. I emailed right back then. Listen, I don't have the coin. Here's the tracking information. I clicked on it. I
Right.
sent him a screenshot. What it showed, I said, I don't know where you're seeing this has been delivered because it still shows that he has it in his possession. Here's all our messages. The guy is
Right.
totally on board for refunding my money,
Sure.
except he just doesn't have the option to do that.
Right.
So then I send him that. I'm like, look, man, I don't know what I did wrong here, but I said, is there any way you can email someone and explain this situation that you're even on board with me getting my money back? Okay, now this is
Right.
3 days later,
Sure.
right? I finally got through to the right people
Yeah.
and they apologized, but they told me that I sent so many different things in that they
Sure.
couldn't keep
Panic.
track of the tickets. They noticed that it was all the same name, but they have to take everything in order, which it comes in. So every
Right.
time I put like a fraud thing, I must have did fraud like 4 different times. It would
Sure.
get kicked back, and then a new ticket would start. Then it would get kicked back, and a new ticket would start. And then
Oh,
I did
gosh.
something about insufficient funds or something else to do with funds, and then that got kicked back because no, the funds were there, and this guy accepted the funds. And then
Right.
they even went as far to say he offered you to cancel it. Where were you? And then I, try
was
explaining,
asleep. I was asleep.
explaining that story to someone
I
to make
know.
that make sense.
I know. It's crazy. It's
5
the
days
world.
later, 5
Uh-huh.
days later, I was refunded.
Awesome.
Full amount. Everything that came from my PayPal went back in my PayPal. Everything that came from my checking went back into my checking because I didn't know how that was all going to work, but it all played out as it should
Okay.
have.
All right.
And at the end of all of it, I really thought that coin was still going to be coming in the mail for all my pain and suffering, but it never did show up.
All right. So how about this? Any did the poor seller get any black marks, and have they been erased? And
No, and actually, I went
do you
back to
have any
his.
black marks, and have they been erased?
No, there was no black marks, and I actually went to that seller's page and left a great like 5-star review type thing. That because
Right.
you do that on sellers pages, apparently you can, just like you can on eBay or anything else. But I
Okay.
explained the whole story, and whoops, he was very very helpful throughout the whole thing, because I don't know him, he doesn't know me, I don't know if he's playing me, and he doesn't know if I'm trying to play him.
Right.
All he knows is he's got my money and he's got my coin. That's all I
Right.
knew. That's all he knew. He knew I didn't want it, obviously, from the get go, but there
Yep.
was nothing that he could do at that point. So
Right. All
it all
right.
worked out in the long run.
There you go. What not?
Moral of the story, just put
Yeah.
your phone away when you go to sleep, or if you
I
think you're going to
know.
fall asleep.
I know. You don't want to end up with a $1,300 coin or a prostitute on your door at 3 in the morning.
Well, I surely hope this does. If anybody else has anything like this, I hope they comment that for you.
Right,
Maybe somebody
exactly.
did do that.
Well, I don't know. It's like, well, risky business. That's what I wasn't. He didn't fall asleep. He actually called the, Tom Cruise in Risky Business. Actually, wanted the prostitute on his doorstep at 3 in the morning, but then he had second thoughts. So, yeah, risky business all around.
Oh,
Well,
my
a hell of a
Lord.
story. I'm glad all's well that ends well.
I'm very glad you got a hold of me to get that off my chest, because that's a good one that needed to be told.
I think so. I think you did a good job telling it. Appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and we'll
Hey,
tell another great story in the future.
we will. Hopefully, I see you come Christmas time.
Absolutely.
All right. See
Sounds
you.
good, Polly.
See
Thank
you,
you
buddy.
very much.